I've been asked how my Masport Cleveland Reel Mower is performing after 1 year of service. I'm going to go over the mower and show you what has changed and what I've changed since the unboxing. I'll also show you the items that I've used to keep up the longevity of the product and also the issues that I've had as well. Before I do get into the 1 year review, I'd just like to note that my growing period up here, or the lawn growing period, is a lot shorter compared to like somewhere like Bathurst or Penrith. I'm in a cold region and my lawn only starts growing from late September through till April, late April. So the mileage of my mower is going to be completely different. So I noticed a lot of people visited my previous video of the mower. Honestly, I knew that handle issue would capture quite a few views. Once again, if I had a product like that and I was mass producing it, I would want to make sure that them instructions are perfect, but it's just me, I guess. Changes that I've made to the mower. There are only 3 changes I've made to my mower since I've had the use of it. The first being the height of the catcher. I actually found that the catcher was dragging on the ground using the factory settings. So I ended up using the chain provided and I shortened it. I ended up raising up one link, and that prevented the early signs of wear I was getting on the back end of the catcher. The second change I made was to the cut height. I noticed that increasing the cut height decreased the mower's ability to cut properly. I lowered the height of the reel and found it cut much better. And I was missing less grass as well. The third change I made, and I'll go into it in more depth later on as well. The third change I made was the adjustment from the blade to the reel. I started noticing that the lawn was just getting clipped, and it was leaving dead grass everywhere, like little white tips on the grass everywhere, and it started to look a little bit ugly. That's when I went to the reel mower with a paper, 2 pieces of paper, and noticed that the gap was getting too large. Once I made that adjustment, things were fine again. Everything was good. Obviously, I used the paper because paper is thinner than grass. That's the reason why I've used it. As for wear and tear, there's not a great deal to report. The plastic handles haven't worn. The rubber wheels haven't worn. I had a little bit of light wear on that rear roller, but as I was saying in my first video, I was expecting that because my driveway is super gritty and it actually feels like sandpaper to walk on. As for surface rust on the mower itself, I've got basically next to nothing. There's a little bit on the blade and a little bit on the reel, on the non-painted surfaces, but it's not that bad. It's really not that bad at all. I have been keeping it up with lubricants every time I've used it. I've gone out and washed it, dried it out in the sun, and then sprayed it with CRC tackle guard. Obviously not WD-40 as I was saying, because WD-40 has a degree that it's not a lubricant. Performance-wise, it's good. I've enjoyed it. My lawn is still not 100% perfect for the using it, but we're getting there. As I was saying, I did have an issue with a blade to the reel. Once I made that adjustment, everything was perfect. over time, I also found it was getting easier and easier to cut, just because I was building up their muscle grips, and everything was feeling a bit easier in the end. But also, I found that I was using the rotary mower to go over it quickly, and then I'd come back with the reel mower and get it down like another centimetre or so. And I am still running my lawn at 60 mil. It was running 70 mil, so I now go 70 mil on the rotary mower, come back on 60 mil on the reel mower. Jerry M's asked, on tall fescue or buffalo, do these work okay if you're always cutting at 45 to 50 mil? You said they struggle in long grass, but you're only ever talking about taking off the top of the grass. Would it still work okay? So, when I talk about long grass, I originally bought the mower to be cutting at 70 mil. I chose this long mower, the reel mower, because it had the opportunity to do 70 mil. However, if I went into taller grass, let's say I had a rainy week and I didn't get a chance to cut the lawn, and I missed it for, like, say, a fortnight or so, I'd find that I'd really struggle going into like 14 mil, 140 mil kind of grasses, the longer grasses. Anywhere from 45, 50 is absolutely spot on. You'll cut through it really well. And I think that'd probably be your third setting on the mower. The 70 mil, which is the last setting on the mower, was fine, but I was missing grass every now and again. Once I put it down to like 60 mil, I was starting to cut really good. Julian, this is the reason why I'm making this video. He asked me to actually make a review for the 1 year. He's looking at getting this model mower, and he wants to know if it's worth the extra money to compare it to like a fly mower. Do you believe the Masport is a far better build quality? Okay, I'm not quite too sure of the fly mower. What is it called? H4. Let's go and have a look at a picture of it. Honestly, when I first... Oh yeah, definitely. I actually looked at this lawnmower as well. I actually did look at that mower. The reason why I wanted to get the Masport is because it had the catcher, and I believe this one only went up to 50 mil from memory. That's the reason why I wanted it long grass, but I wanted it to be nice and smooth as well, like a real mower would do. At the time, I did see that out there. I just felt that I wanted something that'll last a little bit longer. I did see the Victor with the catcher, but I also seen the build quality, and I was a little bit, Paul Marvelli, I hope I pronounced that correctly, would love to see a video on adjusting the real bed knife. Mine isn't cutting paper anymore, and I don't know how to adjust it. Okay, that's cool. That's what we're making this video for. I have made adjustments twice so far today. Okay. For starters, we're not moving. We're not moving the bed knives. Adjusting the reel to the. Okay. So, for starters, we're not adjusting the reel to the bed knife. We're gonna adjust the bed knife to the reel, because the reel never moves. The adjustments are on the back as well. They're like a little locking bolt, and they're very hard to turn. And I believe that's with a 13mm open ender. And then just use your paper once again. Make sure it hits the paper, and or just cuts it. You don't want that sound of continual ticking. Sometimes you hear it on the American lawnmowers when they're using them, and it just sounds hideous. I think that'd add extra wear to it as well, which is not what you're after. So this is basically how I adjusted mine. You can see I've got plenty of movement in there. I can slide that paper around. It should be a little bit tighter than that. Actually a lot tighter. Now with the open ender, it's just a case of increasing that thread count on the side. And you can see I'm not really moving it much. Not much at all. Look. You can hear how it's pretty tight too. You can hear I've done it up too tight now, that's made a lot. I've just increased the thread count on that side as well. And you can hear it's way too tight. Completely cutting through the paper, which is not what you're after. You can see I'm struggling to move the reel to back it off. The paper I'm using there as well is 80 GSM, where a blade of grass is much thicker. You can hear now that it's not even hitting. You can see that it's just touching the paper now. It's touching the paper, it stops on the paper. But at the same time, it's not hitting the reel. I guess you could make it so that it hits the reel, but I'd imagine you're going to wear out some of the metal on the grip. And I don't think it's self-sharpening either. I think it's best not to actually hit the reel. You can see it's just tapping. And that's some of the lubricant that I've had on there before. So now I'm into the fine adjustments now, and just making it just a little bit tighter, just closing the gap a little bit. You can see it's pinching the paper, but it's not cutting the paper, which is pretty much how it come to me out of the factory. And it cut pretty well like that, so I just keep doing it like that. So that there is the actual bolt that you're moving on the right hand side there. And all I'm using is a piece of paper and a ring spanner. If you can see the mouse pointer or not, but that there is what I'm adjusting. And the thread is down the bottom here. So I'm increasing the thread and decreasing the thread there. When you increase the threads, the actual blade moves towards the reel. You can see how it's just got a pivot point there, and it actually moves inwards. I like to use 2 bits of paper either side. It's just like when you're doing a guillotine and you're setting the blade. Very simple. That's the 1 year review over and done with. I hope it has helped you out with your maintenance of the mower, and also if you've had decisions trying to purchase a reel mower as well. On another topic, I was a little bit disappointed on what my lawn first looked like for the first couple of months this growing season. It had very dry grass. It took a long time for the grass to grow over the top of it. And I've been thinking about dethatching units. Do you know of any dethatching units that are worthwhile doing a review about? Comment below. And I'm really interested in buying something for the next season. Sorry about the delay on this video. I've been extremely busy, especially with work, finding new work and things like that, especially with Christmas as well. So thanks for all the likes, comments and the new subscriptions as well. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.